Hi, my name is Lacey, and this is my final episode of recapping The Ultimatum, now streaming on Netflix. It's the reunion episode! So we get to see where all the couples ended up, and in celebration, I'm wearing my tiara. Yay! The Lachey's are back to mediate this reunion, and they welcome everybody first and say, everybody's back, yay, we're happy to see everybody. However, two people are missing, and it's Colby and Madeline. Surprise, surprise, they bring out Colby and Madeline is like huge. She's like 7 months pregnant. Oh! So everybody was like very happy and yay, baby. And they asked if it's Colby's. Obviously it is. It was a joke, but whatever. They said Madeline is positively glowing. She's so happy to be mom. Madeline was talking about how they don't really fight each other anymore. Instead, they fight together for their family, for what they're creating together. So not just the baby, but them as a couple as well. So things look well in the world of Madeline and Colby. Go figure. In the middle of the Lachey's talking to Madeline and Colby, Alexis decides to just butt in and be like, oh, I'm so happy for you. I'm so happy that things worked out for you. When clearly she's not, because apparently she has some deep desire to rag on Colby whenever she gets a chance. Thanks, Alexis. Moving on. The Lachey's next bring up Nate and Lauren. The Lachey's ask Nate specifically about his proposal to Lauren and how shady it totally was when it happened. Nate said he realized in the experience that he would rather have Lauren in his life than not have her and have kids. I don't buy it. I'm still not buying his baloney, but that's what he's saying. He does do most of the talking, but Lauren does say that they're in therapy and they went to several outside experts for better opinions on their relationship and their issue of her not really wanting kids and him wanting kids so badly that the TV show made a montage of not every time, but most of the times he said he wants kids. And it was a lot. After this montage, Alexis, my favorite person, is just like, okay, but are they having kids or not? Like, for real, like, we need to know. And Lauren said that she agreed to have one kid, but not right now. So we'll see how that ends up. I wish her luck. Nate's not my favorite person. The Lachey's talked to Alexis and Hunter, who got engaged the night of the choice. They are currently living together and still engaged, and it seems like things are going well. Alexis is happy, especially that Hunter's mom is a wedding planner, and so they get to save all of that money on having his mom do the wedding planning, so score for her. But yeah, there's not a whole lot to talk about with Alexis and Hunter because they really weren't on the show very much, and she was annoying and he was useless, and so they got engaged, and that's about it. April addresses the pregnancy scare she had with Jake. She said that she was 12 days late, but it was mainly because of the stress that she was going through with the show and with Jake being with Ray and not wanting to be back together with April. Jake also said that he would have stepped up if she had been pregnant, and he would have been a father for the child and taken care of April if that had been necessary. Speaking of Jake, they ask him what's going on with him, and he says he's just been taking time to himself and self-care and figuring out what he wants out of everything. While they're talking to Jake, April laughs at something he says about taking time to himself or something, and so then they ask April what she's laughing about. It honestly didn't make super sense to me, but April just said that shortchanged through the entire thing because she didn't really get a choice of who she got to be with because of the proposal situation. She kind of got stuck with Colby just by process of elimination. But then she says that she doesn't regret anything and that the show taught her that she was not right for Jake, and so it ends up good. But then Jake kind of gets angry for, I don't know, just being dragged into the situation and then turning out to be the bad guy. To emphasize this point, they do a montage of Jake, and every time he said that he was dragged here by April and how much he doesn't want to be here, and he's just a little drama queen. And it's a funny time, and it breaks the tension, which is needed. Next up is Jake and Ray, and they hit it off immediately and did the trial marriage together. We last saw them. Jake was proposing that they travel someplace together, so he gave her 2 tickets to anywhere in the world. When the Lachey's asked them what happened with that trip, we find out that that trip never happened, that Ray says that Ray and Jake decided that it would have been in poor taste to go on a trip after breaking up with April and Zay, respectively. So, however, Zay speaks up and says that the reason they didn't really go on a trip is because Ray and Zay were back together and sleeping together and giving it another shot. Zay gets angry at Ray for some reason for, I guess, not saying that. But I guess she was trying just not to be too personal, and he was just like, but you were sleeping with me, so that's why you weren't going on a trip. But it's like, whose business? Who needs to know that? Vanessa Lachey calls out Zay for his night out until 8 a.m. He said that he was feeling upset and vulnerable because he wasn't getting what he needed and answers and communication from Ray. And Ray apologized and said that looking back on the show, she was having emotions and she was having thoughts, but it wasn't reading on her face. So she apologized to Zay for not being communicative and speaking what she felt more clearly. Zay seems to calm down a little bit with that. Then they speak to Ray, and she said that since breaking up with Zay officially after the show, after she didn't take the trip with Jake, Ray said that she's been seeing one person since the show ended, and that has been a woman. And Ray said that part of the reason that the relationships with Zay and Jake hadn't worked is because she needed to sort herself out and figure out her sexuality and come to terms with her bisexuality, and she's feeling much better about it, and she seems much more comfortable in her own skin and seems much happier with the person that she's with currently. Then we get to Shanique and Randall. Both seem to have grown a lot. They are no longer engaged. It turns out that after the show, they broke off their engagement. They took time apart, around 6 months or so. Randall lost several people in his life, but Shanique, I think she dated somebody else, but it didn't go anywhere, and she was always there for Randall, and so they ended up coming back together and dating again and seeing what happens. Now they come back together after the self-growth, and hopefully good things will come from this new refurbished relationship. They bring up Shanique's night with Zay, her trial marriage partner, and Randall is upset about the situation, but Shanique told him immediately when it happened, so while he didn't like watching it again or ever, I'm sure, they had already talked about it and sorted that out. However, here's some drama. However, Zay did not tell Ray about what happened, and Ray and Shanique, who Zay fooled around with, had been friends since the show ended, and Zay was trying to get Ray not to be friends with Shanique, probably because he didn't want her to find out what really happened, and wouldn't tell her why. And Zay also accused Ray of doing things with Jake when she didn't, but Zay was the one who had done things with Shanique. So he was being a bit of a hypocrite and a bit of a hypocrite and a liar. At this point, Ray gets pissed. She's fuming. And it seems like the lid just came off of like all of her feelings for Zay over a good period of time. Like there was a lot of pent up stuff coming out. She wouldn't let Zay say anything, and honestly it's probably for the best because he never lets her say anything. That's part of her issue. So as Ray is speaking her piece about Zay, he gets angry and walks off set. Kind of like he has done through the entire experience whenever he gets upset. Zay comes back a little later, but they don't really talk about them again, and that's just like, go sort this out on your own time. Moving on. The reunion ends with Colby and Madeline again. I guess we're just ending on a happy note since the other ones were kind of, ugh. Madeline and Colby say that Madeline's friends who had previously hated Colby, I mean like hated. Madeline says that her friends are on Team Madeline, so whoever she's happy with, her friends are happy with as well. So if Colby is in the doghouse with Madeline, he's in the doghouse with her friends. But if he's on good terms with Madeline, if she's happy, then her friends are happy that they're together. So I guess that sorted itself out. Colby also says that he regrets going outside the experience to make it real for both Madeline and Colby. He says he does regret it at this point. Meanwhile, Alexis, again, just always with her and Colby, she makes an aside to Hunter saying like, if that ever happened to her, she'd be done, like it'd be it. I kind of get it, but like whatever, move on. The Lachey's ask a couple of burning questions, like who learned the least in the experience, and everybody says Nate because obviously he's a douche. They weren't in the experience, so they didn't really learn anything because they didn't do it. They also ask who they would pick for their trial marriage partner other than their own original partner, and most, like all the girls say Colby, so he's like the hot ticket, or he would have been anyway, because we clearly know that the other guys are just no. After the reunion of Love is Blind season 2 with Shake and his nonsense, this was kind of a letdown. I feel like overall the drama of the Ultimatum as a show started heavy at the beginning. Like that was some good drama, and then it just sort of petered out, and it was like kind of a letdown, to be honest. That was the Ultimatum. Thank you if you've watched these recaps of mine. Please like, subscribe, shoot me a comment, and let me know your thoughts on the Ultimatum.